Before we dive into the main topic, please take a moment to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like this podcast, and leave a comment to support the channel. Your engagement truly helps. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into something really specific, the architectural strategy of teaching language. We're going to see how a curriculum can be engineered to take a learner from, knowing almost nothing to being conversationally independent. And our source material for this is, well, it's pretty unique. It's a huge 5,000-word lesson plan. And its whole goal is to create that critical leap in English, moving learners from that beginner A1, A2 level up toward B1 intermediate. But here's the real kicker. The entire 2-hour curriculum, it focuses on just one topic, colors.
It sounds so simple, right? Deceptively so, but the thinking behind it is, it's just brilliant. We have to kind of set the stage for you here. An A1 or A2 learner is working with some really tight constraints. I mean, we're talking about a vocabulary of maybe 1,000, 2,000 words total. They can point at things, they can identify them, but they can't really describe them. So the mission of this curriculum is to get to genuine descriptive fluency, a full 120 minutes of solid content. But, and this is the important part, without throwing in a bunch of advanced words, it forces a really structural approach. And that structure, well, that's what this deep dive is all about.
So it's basically a masterclass in linguistic economy. How do you build a 5,000-word lesson on colors when you only have a few hundred words to play with? And the answer, it seems, is in this strategic progression the plan lays out. It's a 4-part journey. It goes from simple identification to what it calls the adjective leap, then to shades and nuance, and finally into real-world context. So let's start at square one. Part 1. Building that A1, A2 foundation. If the goal is fluency through repetition, how does the curriculum even manage that? I mean, the sheer brute force needed to make those first words stick.
Well, the foundation begins with just 10 core colors. We're talking the absolute basics, red, blue, yellow, green, orange, purple, pink, brown, black, and white. These are the building blocks. The whole plan assumes the learner is starting from zero with these words. And fluency at this level is really just about volume. The script gets so long because it mandates massive, really structured repetition. Just to introduce those 10 names and, get the pronunciation right, the source says you have to cycle through each one at least 5 times.
5 times, just to say the word.
Exactly, just to make sure the phonology sticks right from the get-go.
That's fascinating. It sort of flips the usual idea of learning on its head. It's not about finding new facts. It's about making the few facts you have completely automatic.
That's it, exactly. And the most basic sentence structure gets introduced immediately. It is color. Simple as that. But to keep it from being, totally dry memorization, they anchor it in things the learner already knows. So to reinforce red, they use 5 common objects, an apple, a tomato, a rose, a car, and a stop sign.
Right.
For yellow, you get the sun, a banana, a school bus, a lemon, cheese.
So you aren't just teaching the word red. You're teaching red as a concept that's tied to 5 different things they see every day. There's 5 separate memory hooks for every single color. So 50 unique associations just in part 1. That density is what inflates the script to that 5,000-word target, even while keeping the vocabulary so limited.
That's the pedagogical genius right there. And it leads straight into the main practice drill, which is a simple Q&A. The learner practices how a conversation actually works, but using only the basics. So the structure would be something like, is the grass red?
And the response?
No, it isn't. The grass is green. The source mandates that this exact yes-no, negation, and correction pattern gets repeated 10 times for each color pair.
Wow.
Yeah, it's robotic for sure, but it drills the basic syntax of conversation right alongside the vocabulary.
Okay, so we've got the 10 colors
Wow.
and the simplest possible sentence. It is X. But B1 proficiency, that needs description, right? Not just identification. So the learner has to get past that it is crutch. Which brings us to part 2, the adjective leap. What's the single biggest grammatical challenge the curriculum has to tackle here?
The biggest challenge is what's called the English adjective rule, and it is critical in a lot of the world's most spoken languages, Spanish, French, Arabic. So on the adjective comes after the noun. You'd say a book read.
That's a huge roadblock for beginners. It's a complete structural reversal for so many people.
It absolutely is, and that's why part 2 is laser focused on rewiring that one basic structure. To go from the apple is red to being able to confidently say a red apple, well, that takes overcorrection. The plan actually mandates practicing the correct color noun structure, a blue door, a yellow taxi, at least 20 times per section.
Per section.
Yep. It's an exercise in muscular memory for your brain's language center.
That level of repetition makes perfect sense. You're not just teaching a rule, you're trying to force a new linguistic habit into place. You're fighting years of their native language interference.
Precisely. And while they're nailing down this major grammatical jump, the plan allows for just a tiny bit of vocabulary expansion. Just enough to be more functional, but still safely in that A2 range.
Right, the supplementary 3.
Yes. Gray, gold, and silver. And they're chosen very specifically because they're high utility words. Gray, for instance, you can teach using a rainy sky or a mouse. Gold and silver are essential for talking about, money, jewelry, simple things. So that brings the learner to a solid set of 13 core colors.
And you're not introducing something like teal or magenta yet.
No, exactly. They're too specific. They don't have the same universal weight that gold or silver does at the A2 level.
I see. So it's a tactical decision based purely on maximizing daily usefulness. Once they have those 13 colors and the adjective rule down, how is it applied?
Immediate practical application. The lesson shifts to describing things the learner is constantly interacting with. Body parts, clothes, my shirt is blue, my eyes are brown, my hair is black. It forces them to use that new color noun structure but about themselves, which makes it personal and makes it stick. Part 2 also gets into plurals, which is another crucial A2 concept. But the beauty here is that the color word itself, it doesn't change. You just teach the rule. 2 red boxes, not 2 reds boxes.
So it's a grammar lesson on efficiency, really, hidden inside the color vocabulary. This is where we start to see that bridge to B1 forming. The learner wants those aha moments. And it seems like part 3, introducing nuance, delivers them. You're still using the same 13 basic colors, the same A2 words, but now they can express subtlety. How does the curriculum do that without just dumping a ton of B1 vocabulary on them?
It's the architectural breakthrough of the whole plan. It creates complexity through simple functional modifiers. Instead of teaching, 50 new color names, you teach 4 simple words that modify the 13 they already know.
Okay, let's unpack the first pair, light and dark.
Light and dark are just fundamental opposites. We define dark as deep or strong and light as soft or gentle. These 2 words immediately unlock so much descriptive power. Think about it. Describing hair color, telling the difference between dark coffee and light milk, talking about nature.
It lets you describe different shades without even needing the word shade.
Exactly. All of a sudden you can talk about the contrast between the new light green leaves in spring and the older dark green leaves of summer. Their descriptions just get so much richer instantly.
And the second pair of modifiers.
Bright and pale. Bright is defined as vivid, intense, something noticeable, like a bright yellow sun or a bright red coat. It grabs your attention. And pale is the opposite, weak, almost white or faded. You might think of pale pink skin or the colors in an old photograph.
This is really clever. The sentence structure stays perfectly simple. It's still just modifier color noun.
Yeah.
But the descriptive depth just leaps from A2 to B1. The learner isn't struggling with new sentence patterns, just picking the right intensifier.
The goal is to maximize their descriptive range using words they've already mastered. And part 3 also circles back to comparison and contrast, using the ultimate opposites, black and white, and practicing simple negative comparisons with not. The dress is bright pink. It is not pale pink. This kind of practice is vital for when they have to start articulating preferences in a B1 dialogue.
So we've armed the learner with 13 colors, the adjective rule, and 4 modifiers. Now for the final push, part 4. This is where all that knowledge has to be applied in real situations to prove they've actually learned it. How does the curriculum package this for real communication?
The main application is a dialogue practice, specifically a shopping role play. And this is where using those four modifiers becomes, well, mandatory. The role play is set up so that simple color identification just isn't enough.
Can you give us an example of how the script forces them to do that?
Sure, the conversation moves beyond, do you have a blue shirt, to, do you have this shirt in blue? And the clerk responds, yes, we have a bright blue one and a dark blue one. The customer then has to say, I prefer the dark blue one, please. The learner literally can't finish the dialogue without using bright or dark.
Yeah.
It's a mechanism to make sure the new tools get used under a little bit of pressure.
That feels like the hallmark of real fluency, right?
Yeah.
You're using the new words not to show off, but because you actually need them to be specific and express a preference.
Absolutely. The application stage also builds some important psychological bridges. It connects colors to simple feelings. At the A2 level, these associations are kept really basic. Red is linked to anger or love. Blue is sad or calm. Yellow is happiness in the sun.
Why is that step so important for what is essentially a grammar curriculum?
Because it elevates the language beyond just pointing at things. If a learner can say, the yellow sun makes me happy, they've created an emotional context for yellow that's memorable. They're moving from rote memory to applied subjective expression. And that's essential for getting into B1 topics, like talking about feelings and experiences. And then the final activity just synthesizes everything. The curriculum ends with a self-application test. The learner has to look around their room, their environment, and describe 5 different objects, not just with their color, but using the new modifiers. For instance, my phone is dark gray, or my wall is pale yellow. Ooh, it confirms they can seamlessly put all 4 parts of the lesson together. So if you look back at the whole 5,000-word architecture, the lesson is pretty clear. Leveling up isn't some big confusing jump. It's a highly structured 4-step process. You introduce the core grammar, the adjective rule. You expand vocabulary just a little bit, from 10 to 13 colors. You add all this descriptive power with only 4 simple modifiers: light, dark, bright, pale. And then you force the learner into dialogues where those new tools are absolutely necessary. That's how you get to independent fluency without overwhelming them.
That clarity of process is really the biggest takeaway from this deep dive. It's amazing how much subtlety you can squeeze out of such simple words. Now, for a final provocative thought for you to chew on, if this curriculum is so strict about maximizing utility and minimizing vocabulary, why are certain pretty common colors like, say, teal or magenta or maroon deliberately left out? Think about the strategic structure we just discussed and what language level, B1 or maybe even higher, those really specific color names would logically belong to. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, like, and leave a comment to support the channel.